My name is John. I'm 65 years old, and my purpose today is to alert the community about the fact that life doesn't stop with a diagnosis of dementia. Dementia is more than memory. Unfortunately, a lot of people associate dementia with memory loss, and even though that may be a symptom for certain types of dementia, it's not the only symptom. Dementia can also affect your thinking, your behaviour, your ability to be able to problem solve and do everyday tasks, and also to learn new things. It was probably in my early 50s, and I was the principal of a large suburban school in Brisbane, and I was finding that I was having more and more difficulty organising my school day, scheduling events and timetabling were becoming rather problematic. The other thing that I was noticing too, that I was having trouble learning new things. I actually drove my car into my garage door. The first time what happened was I actually simply got in the car and reversed it into the garage door with the garage door closed. And on the second occasion I actually walked down my back stairs, closed the garage door and then proceeded to drive the car into the garage door. I must admit I didn't tell Glenys because she wasn't home at the time, but later on I fessed up and said to Glenys, this is what I've done. It was then that I went to the GP and explained to the GP what had happened. So he then referred me to a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist then spoke to me and Glenys, and then he decided because of the nature of my job I was suffering from stress. I was diagnosed initially with mild cognitive impairment, and then my neurologist, after gathering more data and more information, changed that to Alzheimer's disease of the familial type. My mother, my two aunts and my uncle were all diagnosed with what's called younger onset dementia of the familial type, and they're all diagnosed in their late 50s and their early 60s. It's a genetic form of dementia, and it's obviously run through the family. In my case, I was initially diagnosed with stress, and in fact it took us probably 7 years from the early symptoms surfacing until I finally got my diagnosis in 2010, which is a long and protracted process. And one of the things that I'd like to see happen in the dementia space is for a timely and accurate diagnosis for people with dementia. For the first 2 to 3 years after my diagnosis, like most people, I felt alone. I felt a deep sense of hopelessness. And I would often spend the day just sitting in a chair, just looking at four walls. But there was a turning point in my life where I met a very, very eminent Australian. Her name is Ida Buttress. And I from conversations I had with Ida and telling her the sorts of things that I was doing in my life, it turned my life around. The positive language that she used when she was interacting with me and the encouragement that she gave me made me rethink about my attitude towards my diagnosis. So I decided that I could live well with dementia. The short answer to that is that yes, relationships have been affected. When I was first diagnosed with dementia in 2010, I only told one close friend and a few family members. It took me 2 years to tell my son, with whom I have a close relationship. And it was only 2 years ago that I told my daughter. And the reason for that, I believe, is because of the stigma that's associated with the diagnosis of dementia. And one of the things that I think we as a society or as a community need to address is that stigma. Well, the best thing they can do to support me is the first thing they need to do is listen to the care partner, because the care partner is probably the best person to talk to in terms of enlisting help for the person with dementia. Because I know myself there are things happening with me and I'm not aware of them. And not to become defensive of the care partner, but actually to listen to them and say, yes, I know what you're saying, how can we help? The first thing I would suggest to people if they're a bit concerned, you go and see your general practitioner, your GP. And if you've got a partner or a care partner, it's often good to have them with you, because often they see things that you don't, right? And they can provide more information to the GP about what may be happening. The message I'd like to get out to the community is that, first of all, a diagnosis of dementia doesn't mean end of life. Secondly, as a result of that, you can still live well in the community with support and make adaptations to your life to be able to live well.